Well, as I said at the beginning of the service, that song was really what re-inspired me. I totally changed what I was going to speak about because I think it's time for us to really anchor into this understanding that's in this song and also in the Bible passage that we're going to share today. I haven't done a metaphysical Bible talk for a while, stars clapping, but it's one of my favorite things to do in the whole wide world. So I thought, okay, let's see, what am I going to talk about? And for those of you who are not familiar with unity and how unity really understands the Bible, we see the Bible and all the stories in the Bible and the characters in the Bible and the places in the Bible. We see these stories as an aspect of our own spiritual journey, moving out of what we might think of as a place of darkness or struggle and strife and difficulties and challenges into a place of peace, calm, connection, love, grace. And so each story that we look at gives us a kind of a different layer of tuning into our own inner journey and seeing where we are and what places in the story might really be speaking to us. And what I know for myself is every time I read a story, even though it's the same story, something different either pings me in consciousness or moves me to understand it in a different way. So I'm going to share a story today that I think many of you may have heard before. It's the story of Moses and the burning bush. So a nod or two, and if you haven't, this will be an experience for you because we're going to look at this story metaphysically and see how it might relate to us today, especially as we focus on divine guidance. So this story is in very early part of the Bible. It's in Exodus, chapter 3 of Exodus. So Moses was keeping the flock of his father-in-law, Jethro, the priest of Midian. He led his flock beyond the wilderness and came to Horeb, the mountain of God. There the angel of the Lord appeared to him in a flame of fire out of a bush. He looked, and the bush was blazing, yet it was not consumed. Then Moses said, I must turn aside and look at this great sight and see why the bush is not burned up. When the Lord saw that he had turned aside to see, God called to him out of the bush. Moses, Moses, he said. Here I am, said Moses. Then the Lord said, come no closer. Remove the sandals from your feet, for the place on which you are standing is holy ground. He said further, I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob. And Moses hid his face, for he was afraid to look at God. Then the Lord said, I have observed the misery of my people who are in Egypt. I've heard their cry on account of their taskmasters. Indeed, I know their suffering, and I have come down to deliver them from the Egyptians and to bring them out of that land to a good and broad land, a land flowing with milk and honey, to be the country of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Amorites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites. The cry of the Israelites has now come to me. I've also seen how the Egyptians oppress them. So come, I will send you to Pharaoh to bring my people, the Israelites, out of Egypt. But Moses said to God, who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and bring the Israelites out of Egypt? And God said, I will be with you, and this shall be a sign for you, that it is I who sent you. And when you have brought the people out of Egypt, you shall worship God on this mountain. So it's a really powerful and kind of a short story, but it's packed with so much insight, so much wisdom, and so many places for us to begin to find ourselves in the story. And that's what I hope will be a part of the journey for you today. One of the things that Charles Fillmore, who was one of the co-founders of Unity with his wife Myrtle, one of the things he did in his daily meditations was he began to take the characters that were in the Bible, the places in the Bible, and aspects of our lives into his consciousness and see how they actually could be translated into modern day language. And the name Moses, he translated to mean drawing out, that the name Moses is drawing out, and it's coming out of water. Now this is very interesting because I'm not going to go deeply into the story of Moses, but Moses basically was an Israelite. And in order to escape what was happening where Pharaoh was killing all the male children, his mother put him in a basket in the waters and set him free. And he was discovered by the daughter of the Egyptian Pharaoh. So here's this Jewish boy discovered by Egyptian royalty, essentially. What ended up happening was, through some misadventures, his own real mother became his nursemaid. And he was raised in the house of Pharaoh as the child of Pharaoh's wife, and his real mother was his nursemaid. So Moses out of water all of a sudden makes a little bit of sense. Drawing out is another piece we're going to see how this quality in Moses, how things were drawn out of this particular man and through this experience that we're going to look at today. So you with me so far? So because Moses was afraid, he was Jewish, and it was not good to be Jewish in Egypt. He had left, he had fled. And when we find him in this story, he had married a woman. He was living in Midian, and he had married and had children. And he was actually just coming out of leading his sheep. He was a shepherd, leading them out of the wilderness, and he was coming upon this mountain, and it's known as the Mountain of God. So again, a lot of little metaphysical things for us to be aware of. When we are shepherds, we all are shepherds, what are some of the things that we are shepherding? Our thoughts. We shepherd our thoughts in consciousness. We're looking at them, we're keeping track of them, we're, not losing them, we hope. And sometimes we go through wilderness experiences. And this is where he had come out of this experience of being in the wilderness with his sheep, and he was headed to this mountaintop, which was mountaintop of God, a place of solitude and peace. Literally, it means solitude. And how many times in our stories of Jesus was Jesus up on the mountaintop, going up to the mountaintop? So we've got Moses here, and he's wandering around, guiding his sheep, and he looks out, and what does he see? He sees this bush that's on fire, but it's not being consumed by the fire. Pretty shocking kind of thing, right? I mean, this is like, whoa, what is this? Some of us might have had what kind of reaction to it? We might have been terrified, like, what's going on here? I'm getting out of here. But what Moses did, he turned toward it. He was curious. It was like, this is some sort of phenomenon here that's happening here. I want to know more about it. And in his turning to find out more about this phenomenon, whatever this happened, the presence and power of the divine, of God, started speaking to him. Powerful, powerful. This is a really important part of our story, because the burning bush is something that can be happening for many of us in our life. We have what I like to call it a holy moment. Moses had a holy moment. And in that holy moment, in that experience of this phenomenon happening that could have caused a lot of fear for some people, he could have run away. Instead of doing that, he was curious. He moved in toward this experience. In his doing that, he became fully present and connected to the presence and power of the divine. The divine, there was a presence that was called forth in him by making that choice to turn toward this holy experience, this encounter. He was having essentially an encounter. But what did the voice of God say? Don't come any closer. You can't come any closer unless you take your sandals off. You have to take your sandals off. What happens when we take our sandals off? We get more grounded, don't we? Yeah. We're connected much more to the earth, aren't we? Well, it's really interesting because metaphysically, our sandals, the things that keep us from being connected and grounded to the presence, which we might think of that kind of connection as kind of a mystical connection, right? Because what was going on with the burning bush was very mysterious. There's a lot of awe and wonder in this movement toward this experience. But until we actually can take off our shoes, remove our sandals, and literally ground ourselves, those mystical experiences that we might think are wonderful, some of us have had those over the years. They're just fleeting until we can literally ground ourselves into the presence and power, because we are human beings. We have bodies in this go round. And part of what was going on in this particular story and how Charles Fillmore would interpret this is that our sandals can be those aspects in consciousness that prevent us from being connected on holy ground, that prevent us from being connected fully to the presence and the power of the divine, that prevent us from fully receiving whatever the guidance is that the divine has for us. And so the message that God gave him was, don't come closer until you can release these things. Now, in our life, it could be that our sandals could be something like limiting beliefs that we have. It could be the fears that we're carrying around in our life. There's so many different things that could show up in our life as the sandals. I had a really interesting way of looking at sandals in terms of feeling this sense of like almost a prideful certainty about my life. Have you ever had that kind of like, you're feeling like you kind of got it all under control? That would be a moment to think about taking off your sandals. I mean, it's not exactly the opposite of fear, but energetically it has sort of the excitement and fear are the same, like we're kind of in that same energy field. What about a sandal that we wear that keeps us busy all the time? Go, 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 go. It has us pushing towards something that we want. Sometimes we just need to take it off. We need to come to that place of stillness, because it's in that place that we're standing on holy ground. I'm just looking at Harker and being so grateful for the labyrinth experience we had, where we got to really stand in the presence and know that where we stand is sacred space. Especially when we're willing to really release those thoughts that we're carrying or the busyness in the outer that's keeping us away from truly anchoring into the presence and power of who we are. So I was looking more and more about this story and really trying to see what we could identify in our own life as these holy moments, which would be the kind of thing that Moses is experiencing, and he's moving toward it. Sometimes we would have these moments, big moments in our life, and a lot of times those holy moments when we're going into them or we're in the experience of them, they don't feel great. In a sense, a holy moment might be a diagnosis that there's something in our physical body that's not working. And if we're willing to turn toward it, what happens? We learn more about ourselves. We're able to begin to remove those things that no longer serve us, take the sandals off, and begin to receive the presence and power of that sacred space, of that holy moment when we're in holy space, in holy ground. Sometimes something like a holy moment, like a burning bush, could be an experience of questioning a relationship that we've been in. And if we just keep on going the way it's been going, instead of taking a look and saying, what's my part here? Is there something I need to do to heal this relationship? If we aren't willing to look into it, we're not going to be able to receive the guidance that Spirit has for us. There's so many different ways that this experience shows up in our life. And I'd just like to kind of enumerate some of them and see where you may have been experiencing in your life what I want to call a holy moment, where you've had an opportunity and a choice, like Moses did, to turn toward it and to engage with what your soul is calling forth for you. Or in some cases, we just, we had to leave. We couldn't be present to it at all. For many, many people in our community, retirement has been a holy moment. And how do we engage with that? Do we turn toward it and find out what new things are bubbling up in my life? What are the things what sandals do I need to let go of? Maybe some of the sandals are roles that I was holding on to, that were defining who I am in the world. But it's time for me to really stand on holy ground and be fully present, be in that place of divine listening. We talked about that, how important it is for us to be in that space of listening in the present. Another thing that could be, and I'm looking at Julia, recovering from something amazing. This woman has recovered from several different major issues in her body. And when we have that kind of experience, we have an opportunity, literally, something new. This is like a new holy moment. What does this mean for me? How do I engage with this new energy in the body that I get to feel? Maybe in the past I treated it in a certain way, but now I have a new awareness of what really is gifted to me in my life. So really powerful. Certainly anytime we feel like we need to leave some kind of a job that we have, something that we're doing that doesn't feel like it's in alignment with the truth of who we are. This idea of what Moses said was, I need to turn aside. He was turning toward that experience, turning toward that holy moment. Sometimes we have an unexpected opportunity. And the sandals that we're wearing are giving us messages that, oh, you can't do that. Who do you think you are? You're too old. You don't have enough money, blah, 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 blah. But there's a quality of holy moment there. There's a quality of, whoa, there's awe involved. I love how Matthew Fox talks about that. Part of our original blessing is our ability to experience awe and wonder. And even in difficult situations, we can experience that sense of this is really big, but it's here in my life. Am I willing to kick off maybe one sandal and hop on over and see what's there? There's so many opportunities for us to actually be like our friend Moses. Now, in the story with Moses, he had a pretty big challenge that God gave him. First of all, he's trying to leave Egypt and he's hiding, basically. And the message God gives him is, I want you to go back to Egypt, and not just you come back. I want you to bring all the Israelites out. This is like this. Sure. Can you imagine what all the things on his sandals, what was going on there? And he enumerates that later in Exodus, all the reasons why he's like, oh, I'm not equipped. Sorry about that. You got the wrong guy. How many times have we said that? Truthfully, how many times have we, like the 2x4 came and we're like, not me. Well, give it to that person over there, right? But this is what this is all about. It's, answering the call. Here I am. So Moses listened to the divine. And the interesting thing that was told to him was, once you do this, you will get a sign. And the sign will be, you'll be back here on this mountain of God's mountain of solitude, peace, serenity. And he's like, well, how's that a sign? I got to go do the whole thing? And then I get the sign? What do we want? We want the signs right now. We want all the breadcrumbs. We want, show me the, what's in it for me? But this is how it was explained to him. And I really have a sense that when this happens for us, when we get the message, when we're willing to stand without our sandals and in fullness of whatever the holy moment is, and we can say, okay, here I am, whatever comes, we will receive not only the signs at the end, not only whatever kind of peacefulness, presence, whatever experience it is that's at the end of whatever God is calling for us. As we answer that call, all the way along, we will start to find synchronicities. We'll start seeing things that have given us exactly what we need to see the next step. Remember that old saying of God does not give us anything that we don't have the capacity to fulfill. Otherwise, we wouldn't have gotten it. Guy would have gotten it instead of me. Somebody else would have gotten that message. But if it's my message, and I can say, here I am, Guy's getting nervous about this already. Saying you're going to have to do the next talk, okay? He's changing his songs. I love that. Yeah. So, but this is what is so powerful, because this story is about our deepening consciousness. Do you see how it is? It's about how we can deepen our consciousness, and how all the incredible experiences in our life, whether they feel like they're coming from the outer, they all have this opportunity of literally being a holy moment for us, when we're willing to turn toward it and to be fully present to the power of stillness, to the power of silence, to that capacity to simply be open and receptive to what is uniquely being spoken or felt inside each one of us. Because the truth is, we each have such unique lives. We've lived different places, we've done different things, we've encountered different people in our life. And so the message that Kate gets is going to be very different from Suzanne's message. And we will understand it only in the context of the unique quality of who we are, and begin to use our giftedness to bring out whatever the call is, to answer that call. So I really love this story, and I hope that that you can remember this idea of these holy moments as something that's awe-inspiring, maybe a little bit scary sometimes, but that to be willing to move into it, to get support as you need, because Moses certainly got support along his journey, but he was willing to say, here I am. He was willing to really answer the call that came to him. And I'm sure Guy's going to have some incredible music. He's going to have some Moses that, and just kind of anchoring the whole thing with that mountain is, to me, so powerful. He started out in a place where he was hiding. He was hiding not only from God, but he was hiding from all that he would have to do in the world. And yet he was very close to this place of divine stillness and presence. He was right next to it, in a sense, that mountain. And what God promised was, you do all these things that I invite you to do. I'll give you all that you need, and I will again bring you back into this place of safety, this place of presence, this place of power. Kind of wraps it all up. Such a beautiful story, Exodus 3. So let's take a moment now and just go into the stillness, and we'll have some time for meditation. Guy's going to noodle, he calls it noodling, before we have his final song. Get ready. Just closing your eyes. Just invite you to take a couple deep breaths and throughout our lives, we all have experiences we might call challenges or celebrations. We might have relationships that bring us a lot of joy, and we may have experiences that cause us to suffer and experience pain, not only in the physical body, but in the emotional and spiritual body. But all along the way, the journey we are on is a journey of transformation of the soul. It's inner transformation. And I invite you to be present right now, feeling into maybe one experience in your life. It could be something happening right now, where there's a moment, a holy moment, an experience that you see, that you perhaps it's on the horizon. Perhaps you're in the middle of it right now. Ask yourself if you're willing to turn toward it as Moses did, to move more deeply into a journey of consciousness, a journey of the soul. You're willing to become aware of those things that may be holding you back, those thoughts and belief systems that are not the truth of who you are. And as you begin to bring awareness to this holy moment, to this experience, this holy encounter, feeling and inviting the presence and power of your divine, your higher power, a living, loving presence within you, the God with and within, ever present. Are you willing to open and to say, here I am. Here I am, Lord. Use me. Here I am. We live a journey of becoming more of who we came here to be, spiritual beings with this human body, coming to bring more love and grace, more kindness, more peace, more wisdom and strength into the world. So in the stillness, feel the power and the presence carrying you, guiding you in this holy moment. and trusting that the presence and power, the one presence, the one power, will surely give you signs along the journey and will constantly guide you to live and move and be in the holy presence, to stand on holy ground. As you walk this soul journey, moment to moment, day by day, and offering gratitude for the message of Moses being drawn out and carried up in consciousness and willing to take action to do what he is called to do. May we follow that path. Here I am, Lord, use me. Here I am, Lord. And gently, as you feel a sense of gratitude, offer that gratitude, feeling it in the heart. And taking a few deep and conscious breaths, we say thank you, thank you. Thank you to the Divine Presence. Thank you to the teachings of Charles and Myrtle Fillmore and all those who've come before us on this journey, a journey of transformation in this lifetime. And as you're ready, you could gently bring yourself back into your body and slowly open your eyes. Come back to this time and to this place, for you are indeed on holy ground.